Hey.
Good evening. The Curriculum Subcommittee will now come to order. Could you take a roll call, Deb?
Certainly. Ms. Gately?
Present.
Mr. Castellanos?
Absent.
Absent. Mr. Nicholson?
Present.
And observing, Ms. Capola?
Present.
Mr. Ford?
Present.
Mr. Satterwhite?
He's present somewhere.
Present.
He's present somewhere.
And Mayor McGee, absent.
Michael? They're good for your heart. I'm a Bean fan.
Well, I guess we're going to be hearing, Dr.
Really?
Tutwiler, do you want to input on this? This presentation?
Yeah, 2-1.
They're waiting for the intro.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, do you want to introduce the
I do.
presentation?
I'm gonna wait till I get a thumbs up from them. And then I want to say a few things. Oh, I didn't bring a clicker. I have one in my desk drawer.
Shannon, did I go too fast?
So I'm gonna do a little something here first. May I? Good to go? Okay. And,
You need a clicker?
oh, yes, please. I want to save Deb from running all the way up there. Thank you, Don.
John?
Boom.
There it goes.
Awesome.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, there he is. Hello. May I?
Of course.
Okay. Want to get started and talk about what I think is an exciting step forward in the realm of social studies in the Lynn Public Schools middle school experience as it relates to civics. A familiar face here with you this evening, Shannon Gardner, Assistant Director of Curriculum for Humanities, and she's joined by Luke Moss, who is an 8th grade social studies teacher at Marshall. And if you go way back in your memory, back to 2018, you'll recall that law came into place that really elevated, or I would say re-elevated in the minds of some, civics. Its prominence in public schools across the state, emphasis on curriculum at the 8th grade level, but then also projects. And it's on that I just want to, say a few things before we launch into the presentation. Some of you might recall that last year, really challenging year for all sorts of reasons, but nonetheless, Mr. Moss and his colleague, Jenny Winter, developed a civics network, which was a series of professional development sessions to support teachers in keeping civics vibrant despite the remote learning conditions. Mr. Moss and Ms. Winter organized and facilitated 8th grade events for Civics Day in the district in the spring. I believe Mr. Satterwhite attended one at Breed, maybe among others. The great news is we'd like to acknowledge that a group of Mr. Moss's students won the Generation Citizen statewide civics contest for middle schools last year for their project on lowering the voting age to 16. It's amazing that Action Civics projects were able to flourish like that last year, and Mr. Moss is someone who was critical to making that happen, as well as many other 8th grade social studies teachers who went above and beyond on these projects with their students. This year, Mr. Moss and Ms. Winter are continuing the civics network and are also training to become district trainers for new teachers coming into the district. I hope you all will join me in expressing our sincere appreciation for all of the work that you did last year, that you did the years before, and continue to do. And we're thrilled to have you with us this evening. But would you join me in a round of applause for Mr. Moss? Now I'll turn it over to you for the curriculum presentation.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin by just talking a little bit about the process and the pre-work. The work really began in the summer of 2019 when a group of 8th grade teachers attended a DESE-sponsored civics conference and developed a preliminary map with DESE guidance. They furthermore worked in district with David Buchanan, consultant for iCivics, and continued developments of maps and resource folders accessible to 8th grade teachers. During this time, teachers combined free resources from iCivics and Newsela in combination with resources we already had access to, the DBQ project and Generation Citizen resources. We have a section of the table where you can look at those resources.
The DBQ project helps the department incorporate inquiries that are document and literacy based, so students can experience history through questioning and learning different perspectives. Generation Citizen curriculum supplements give us a robust sequence of activities for when teachers approach the civics project. If we flash forward now to summer 2020, the Civics Map was actually revised again and encompasses U.S. and Massachusetts history and civics content. ELA language literacy standards, vocabulary language functions, and 21st century skills. So the structural basis for the map lies in the Understanding by Design in Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Classroom by Amy Hinkey and Jay McTighe. Teachers in the mapping group read chapters and passages from this book in the mapping process. Our mapping template was derived directly from this book. Each unit in the map also contains an exemplar of a performance task, which is similarly grounded in the Hinkey and McTighe reading.
Moving on to our actual curriculum review that took place in the summer of 2021, this past summer. Our curriculum resource review took place at Thurgood Marshall during 3 days in July, and the team members were Christina DeRosa of Thurgood Marshall, Luke Moss of Thurgood Marshall, Greta Harvey of Pickering, Matt Mahoney of Breed, David Fusco of Discovery Academy, Dr. Mark Curry of the LBTI History Social Studies Department, and myself. On the first day, the team reviewed the map, reviewed the rubrics for evaluation, reviewed materials, took notes, and discussed. A note on the rubrics, we used a DESE rubric that was specifically designed for 8th grade resource adoption, as well as our own LPS created rubric for culturally responsive resources. Those are also available to you at the table.
And on days 2 and 3, the committee continued reviewing materials and then had presentations from the following vendors: Discovery, McGraw-Hill, Pearson Savas, and Actively Learn. After viewing the presentations, the team spent more time reviewing the materials and assessing them with the rubrics. Each person had a chance to speak on the resources, and the team narrowed the resources down to 2, with the majority selecting Actively Learn, which holds the textbook resource, We the People.
Furthermore, in the process, we shared our results with a group of district leaders. Specifically, this group reviewed the 2 resources we chose and then met with me and members of the committee to discuss. All were in agreement that Actively Learn is the resource we want to put forward as our recommendation to suit our teachers' and students' needs in this subject area. Just to recap the resources we reviewed, these are Actively Learn, which contains We the People, Discovery, iCivics, McGraw-Hill, and Pearson. All of those resources are at the table with the exception of iCivics. Just for your information, the iCivics resource we looked at was not a full resource. It was an interactive workbook, and we decided that it would best not be part of the review, but remain an important supplement for us. We would like to spend some time explaining why we chose to recommend Actively Learn. Just as an overview, Actively Learn has the content we are seeking, which we believe is comprehensive and rigorous. It gives us a unique platform for teacher collaboration and sharing. It works with our mapping scope and sequence and allows us to deliver standards-based instruction. It also provides us with the culturally relevant resources that are so appropriate for our district. First, we'll review some features of Actively Learn. Actively Learn contains online digital resources for social studies, for civics, government, American history, and world history. All of these content resources will be available to eighth grade teachers. The main resource that our teachers will draw upon is We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution, which teaches middle school students about civics, government, and active citizenship. The textbook, composed of 6 units and 30 lessons, uses critical thinking exercises, cooperative learning, and a simulated congressional hearing culminating activity to teach history and principles of constitutional democracy. We the People is aligned with Common Core state standards for reading and writing and national standards for civic and government. We also find direct alignment with the Massachusetts frameworks. We the People was sponsored by the Center for Civic Education, which is cited as a resource link in the Massachusetts state frameworks.
So next, we're going to talk about some of the text features of the Actively Learn. Some of the features that we really love about Actively Learn, the We the People, the Citizen, Constitution textbook as well on Actively Learn, is the many text features. It's an interactive literacy platform that helps teachers activate, support, and reveal student thinking so that every student can read for depth. We the People, the textbook on Actively Learn, features multiple choice and short essay exercises, embedded videos, audio narration, a dictionary, built-in translation to multiple languages, support for dyslexic learners, and more. Our How It Works slide, which we can see, shows how the teacher can assign content in Actively Learn from a variety of resources. The teacher can control resources to support the needs of the students in front of him or her. Teachers can add their own questions to the text. We can also isolate smaller passages if we want students to focus in on smaller sections. Teachers and students can control features that allow for text to be enlarged, background colors to be changed, and research-based optimization for students with dyslexia. The teacher can also customize assignments for students so that students can receive the type of scaffolds that they need. They can also add co-teachers so that specialists can co-create lessons and customize materials to meet the students' needs. Everything can be interactive, with the students and teachers being able to highlight areas and write notes on the margins of the particular documents that they're looking at. Students can hear the read aloud of the text and can also translate into a high number of languages. The interactive nature of Actively Learn also allows teachers to give students the immediate feedback that they really, really need to master the content and the particular skill that they're working on.
In addition to the textbook We the People, Actively Learn also curates its own content of curated culturally relevant DBQs and text sets. We have the ability to search Actively Learn's own bank of historical and current events resources, including culturally diverse readings on engaging content. This includes rich texts like Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman, Thomas Paine's Common Sense, and Susan B. Anthony's After Being Convicted of Voting. Additionally, there are document-based questions that cover such topics as World War II and the Civil Rights Movement and the movement towards equality. Current Connections articles allow teachers to bring their subject matter to the current day in a way that engages students meaningfully. Such articles include topics like exploring whether existing laws are strong enough to handle social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, as well as connecting themes of Marvel movies to civil rights movements in American history.
So now, we're going to take a look at additional supplements that we might need to bring in with Actively Learn. So in addition to all of these resources, Actively Learn empowers teachers by giving us the ability to bring in other social studies resources that are so important to the content area, like current news articles, informational sources, and documents. For instance, we can actually pull articles from the internet and remove the articles of the advertisements and other pop-ups. Teachers have the same ability to add their own questions and decide what parts of the text that they want the students to work on. And Actively Learn allows us to share our materials with our fellow colleagues. This can be a really powerful feature, especially when we're working together in our PLCs. Teamwork on shared goals can obviously bring us farther and faster together when it comes to tackling instruction.
Our final slide here is on a big point of equity engagement. So overall, this resource is a sound standards-based curricular resource. The power is in the way that it supports students to access those resources and the supports that are available, like the text features that we mentioned. And it allows teachers and specialists to customize for their students. It's engaging for students, not just for the high interest pieces, but because it supports them and helps teachers move them forward through all these supportive pieces to enhance instruction, and that's true equitable instruction. A last great feature we want to share is Actively Learn also contains a district space. We can think of it as a district home on the platform where we can share work across the district, which is very exciting in terms of sharing the work of teams. This resource is perfect for us because we can pull in the best of what we already have and develop an incredibly robust space for teachers and students. We have been using a variety of supplements to deliver the 8th grade curriculum, but teachers felt they needed a more substantial content base. Actively Learn provides us this content through We the People and plus some of the many resources that we feel are very culturally relevant and engaging. In closing, I hope you have gotten a good sense of the resource that we are recommending tonight and also a sense of the energy and commitment of the teams within the department to engage with their subject matter. We'd like to answer any questions that you may have now.
Mr. Satterwhite, Attorney Satterwhite.
Thank you. Someone just... So as a special education attorney, accommodations are the first things that I always look for, and I love the fact that it's built into this actual product. And when I think of civics, I think of equity, and I love how that word was used multiple times. So I love the fact that this meets the needs of our students, that it's user-friendly, it allows for collaboration, and we know that it's student-focused because it's instructional-focused. And those are all key qualities that we need in our curriculum. One thing I do want to know is when will this be in place, and when can we expand it to other grades?
So I think that will be a discussion that we'll have to, once this is approved, bring to our senior leadership, and that is going to have to be determined in terms of the rollout and when we can provide professional development for the resource. In short, I don't know the answer, but we hope to make that happen in a sensible timeframe.
I like specific timeframes. It's very broad. Just a quick follow-up then is, so you're saying we need PD. How heavily is this on the internet as opposed to a textbook?
It is an internet-based resource, and to just try to be more specific with you, I think that we would be looking to start a contract process with this vendor. And I think that we would be looking to have training happen in department meetings. So I think we hope to move this along. It's not something that we would probably be waiting on. I just couldn't be super specific with you. It is an internet resource.
And so then that leads to another question. How much work would students be bringing home and have the requirement of having internet at home? And is there any feedback that you got from the vendor that talks about the broadband, what that brings to the district? Because we do have some issues with broadband.
You want to answer the first part about at-home work, and then I can respond to the other parts.
Yeah. I think that's a very good question. I think it's a good question for all of our resources because many of our resources are online. And something that we would have to discuss within the department about equitable access to homework.
Thank you.
Relative to broadband issues in our schools, I mean, this is, the kinds of activities that slow down speeds in buildings, high bandwidth activities are videos that are streamed and things of that nature. I don't know how much of that involves video, but I don't know that, in every lesson in every class, kids would be watching video. I'd also say that our broadband challenges are temporary. So you might recall that last April, we put in an order for expanded broadband, and they still have not completed that process, citing delays with supply line and so forth. Everything is done in terms of all of the site work and everything. There's just a piece that they're waiting on. But we suspect that when that piece is complete, there'll be much more robust access. The other thing that I would say is we moved away from our original partner who provided routers and a setup free of charge. And then, the district paid $10 a month for families to have Wi-Fi in their homes. We moved to a hotspot, and right now we have roughly 300 of those out in homes. And so certainly, if there was a challenge for a student or a family in terms of Wi-Fi access, I mean, we have the capability to support that student with accessing internet at home.
Do you get any feedback yet on the hotspots?
Have I heard feedback on it? No.
Okay. Well, that could be a good sign.
Yeah, right.
Attorney Nicholson.
Thank you, Member Gately. So just want to say thank you so much for the presentation, and also for all the hard work that went to the selection process from you and your team, your colleagues, everyone who participated. I think this is definitely an exciting step forward for the district. I think it's a wonderful strength to be building and a really important subject, and sort of preparing the next generation to take a leadership role in our society. I guess the question is just, in thinking about how important this subject is, and I think this is the right place to start in terms of the grade you're at and doing now. Is there any sort of initial thoughts on what this looks like in terms of curriculum mapping, in terms of like what you might want people to be doing in earlier grades to be able to sort of hit this part of the curriculum at full speed, or also potential opportunities it opens up for later grades, having been able to do this at that grade?
That is in our long-range plans, because there is a vertical alignment of the skills that you need to build your civic disposition. So I think that's a next step for us. We are talking also pretty actively about so we're doing a civics project in 8th grade and then again in 10th grade. How do we, after we get everybody initially trained in 10th grade and they're all up and running, how do we deepen what's happening in 10th grade and what happens in between? And maybe you could share your idea, which I thought was great, about deepening that into 10th grade.
So yeah, when it comes to Generation Citizen, we plan on trying to roll out that to 10th grade as well. So we're going to be training social studies teachers for 10th grade to try to help them build up their understanding of that particular project. So over the course of the coming months, we'll be working with them to provide them with the necessary skills and ideas that they'll need for the upcoming project they'll be working on.
Great, great. Yeah, and I've had the opportunity to participate in some of the Generation Citizen work, and I've been really impressed. So thank you for sharing that. The other question in terms of the, a lot of it is digital based, which is great. I think that's a strength. And there's also a lot of conversation on civic issues about sort of the role of digital information in civic discourse. Is that, would that be part of this curriculum, or are there plans to sort of make that part of curriculum in later years in terms of people's digital citizenship?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so part of the civics content, which is topic 7, which is the role of media and literacy.
Yeah.
So we develop a whole bunch of skills when it comes to understanding the difference between, what's a news report versus an opinion piece or editorial. You have to understand how to evaluate sources on the internet. So what is fake news? What is actually real? How are you going to be able to decipher that the legitimacy of what you see on the internet? So all of that material is covered in the social science class and at the 8th grade level.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Jared, can you get the gavel?
Can you let Lorraine talk?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Gately, please.
Little confusion on where the gavel was going. One of my major questions is about the Wi-Fi, and Dr. Tawayala already answered it, because I have a lot of issues with Wi-Fi going on in the high schools, and they can't get on it. And so I'm looking at this curriculum thinking what a great idea it is. It's interactive, it's everything we want, but if we're not able to implement it correctly, then it's just going to be frustrating for teachers and students and parents alike. So I was wondering that was my question about the Wi-Fi. How are we going to control that so that it will happen? Did you do this actually in a class already as a pilot?
So we had worked over the summer. We had reviewed it and we had practiced with it. So yeah, that's how we had worked with it.
Okay, and
If I could just add just recall that, again, that order was put in around April with a promise of completion of June, and it's
know.
October, and no.
it's out in
we're
the
still-
boat in
we're still waiting.
California.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
we're waiting, but I understand that. So that is in the back of my mind. What I see here is a lot of thought and effort, and I commend you on this. And I have to remind myself that this is in the middle school, and then it will transition into the high school, correct? And then the other thing I was wondering is, would it be possible to give written assignments for homework or assignments to be done at home, such as to review what they did in the class during the day, or write an essay making comparisons or whatever? Is that a possibility for homework for students?
Yeah, I mean, within the particular platform, there are a variety of different, short, and you could potentially turn them into long answer questions if you would like. So they do have document-based questions where you have to analyze particular questions. So if you wanted students to, I was looking earlier today, if you wanted to have students take a look at maybe presidential decisions, such as, dropping of the atomic bomb, you could definitely have them take a look at those. So you could, have them do homework assignments with them.
And all the teachers on board with this, just about?
The teachers who had worked on the committee over the summer were on board with it, yes.
Okay, and then there were some other questions about collaboration time. how we do this, how much collaboration are the teachers going to get on this program?
So I think this would be a resource that you as a teacher could use alone, just like your main resource. But when I think about, like, Luke, for instance, he has a PLC with fellow civics teachers. They work together on shared work, and this would be a great platform for them to use in their regular PLCs. I don't think it would be anything additional. It would just be part of the flow of their work because it would be their resource.
So I can say, just this past week, we've actually been analyzing some of the MCAS data, and we had noticed that when it comes to English language arts, citing evidence, in summarizing text, in determining main idea, is some of the key skills that we feel like students need at our particular school. So as a result, we feel like something like Actively Learn would be really beneficial for students to develop those reading skills, and that could really help improve them.
Could you explain to the committee what PLCs mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a professional learning community. And what it is, so we have professional learning communities at our particular school. So I work with several other social studies teachers, and we take a look at data, and we see what are some of the steps that we could take to improve our students for particular skills that they're learning about or particular content. And we will, work on lesson plans collaboratively and units collaboratively, and we'll see, what's our end goal and how can we, try to get there.
And do you find you have the amount of time you need to have a collaborative learning or reviewing to get lesson planning done in your week?
I always feel like we could always have more time, right? But we work at least an hour a week over the course of our schedule. So, at any given time, we have that to put materials together. And we're oftentimes, even in our off periods, if we share the same off periods, we're always, throwing ideas off of one another and working together anyways. So I would say that we have enough. Could it always be more? Sure, but I'd say it's ample time.
So we are the committee that would give you more time. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Because I'm hearing
Yeah.
a lot of complaints about not enough time to collaborate. But not necessarily from 8th grade civics, but.
Again,
I'm not
if you
saying
want to
that.
give us more time, we'll take it.
So I just wanted to be out there that we could be giving you a little bit more time. But I love this idea. It seems very interactive, and I think you covered a lot of your bases. Thank you very much for the presentation. Anybody else?
Just wondering,
Mrs. Capola?
if the people on the curriculum committee were gonna take time to, go over and look at them, because I know usually, Ms. Gately, you like to do that.
I do.
Okay.
Can we have time to go over it before we take a vote or anything? Anybody else?
Or was that at another time? Does it have to be voted on tonight? That's what I'm asking.
Wouldn't-
I don't think so.
No.
No, take your time.
Okay, we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Can we keep some of these books to take a look at?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Roll call.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Castellanos? Absent. Member Nicholson?
Yes.
said, call me, stay home. And I didn't even, for the first couple of years, I didn't even realize how strong, Jamie Marsh was the one that told me that.
I've got some, I've got,
6, 7, or 8. What 7 is it coming in? I'll stand out there with Jack. Hey, that's. It works. Oh, hey, it shows you're from. I always said it. It's a real thing. West Windsor, 170 is inherently. I was walking around today.
okay,
And as soon as you make the announcement, he's gonna turn it off.
okay. Again, if anyone's here to sign up for the open mic, we'll be starting the open mic in 3 minutes. 55, it'll be 15 minutes for open mic, so if anyone, I see some people have already signed up.
Yeah, that looks fun.
John.
The sign-in sheet?
I
Oh, you do? Good.
have it. I think has everyone signed in that's planning on speaking? Thank you. So we're getting ready, we're beginning the open mic session, which is designed to provide an opportunity for citizens to express their views on matters of concern to the school committee. The sessions are not designed to encourage debate or lengthy exchange of views, but are to have the committee understand numerous points of view. The committee would appreciate speakers keeping their presentation to 3 minutes in order to accommodate people as time permits. The chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on the same topic to 3. All speakers must be at least 18 years of age or enrolled in high school in the Lynn Public School District and have discussed their views with a student government representative. The chair reserves the right to rule a speaker out of order if he or she feels, if the chair feels that the speaker's comments are personal in nature. If the speaker's comments are directed at a school committee member or a member of school administration in attendance, that member, through the chair, may address the individual. Sessions started a little late because the committee was going on, but the sessions will commence 15 minutes prior to the start of the regular school committee meeting, so they're scheduled for 15 minutes, and we do have 2 people that have signed up. So with that, we'll go into that, and first, if you'd come forward, introduce yourself, Sofath, and yes. Yep.
Hello.
Oh, I think, yep.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Siang. Good evening to all the school committee members and to all the parents and the guardians who support us, and to the superintendent, Dr. Tutwiler, and to Mayor McGee and all who listen to our concern. Once again, my name is Sophia Siang. I am here to represent a much larger group of concerned parents and guardians and community members. We come to you with a clear and simple mission. We want to advocate for our children to gain access to healthy, safe meals every day that is provided by Lynn Public School System. Lynn is the melting pot. People coming together from various political, religion, and social beliefs with amazing ideas that our youth can and should be given healthy, fresh, safe meals every day as promised. It should not matter who you are, what you look like, and what language you speak, if you're rich or you're poor, or what zip code you live in, whether you're Black, white, Asian, African American, or Haitian. All children should be treated equally and should be able to rely on and count on our school system for safe, healthy, fresh meals. As you know, I'm not the first one, or the second one, or the third one to bring up this issue. This has been an ongoing issue for a while. It started with Las Madres back in 2018, or even longer than that, when a group of Hispanic moms brought up the same issue, the mold, the rotten, spoiled food. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. It's a huge community issue. It needs immediate attention. We are here tonight to be 100% honest and transparent about these ongoing and urgent food matter. We are seeking the same from all of you. We need you. We are calling for your input, your involvement, your information, your transparency that will help us to get that final goal. Our children deserve better. Say something, see something, say something. That's what we're teaching our children. We need to share information. Please, if you see it, say it. Please don't hide. No more sweeping this issue under the rug. It has come out. Let's do it together. So this is calling immediate actions, some of the things that we can do together. If it doesn't challenge you, it does not change you. So we need you. Lynn Public School, the city, the district. We need to challenge our vendor revolution to be better. We need immediate actions. Our kids cannot eat spoiled, moldy, rotten food. We want edible food for our kids. We need new, competent vendor. Our ultimate goal is fresh meals are prepared and served on the same day. We need quality assurance. What we're asking for is the City of Lynn of Board Health to inspection report for their Revolution food deliveries. We need inspection report for all 18 elementary school, all food service. We need file complaints from all the staff, parents, and students. We need all those reports. We need to be inspected and safe according to FDA food code and USDA school lunch programs requirement. We need to come together. We need to be transparent about the quality assurance. We need transparency. We need questions on delivery, the temperature, storage protocol for all school lunches, and still have questions on frequency and the date, nutrition, and access for parents. As you all know that we have 18 elementary schools. None of these schools have any kitchen. I know that we cannot build kitchen overnight, but we have to think outside the box. We need our city leaders and those in seat of powers to allow full community commercial kitchens to be used for school meal production and sublet after hours to local business owners that's going to bring in more income to build the economy that we desperately need to grow as together as a community. We are here tonight to show your support. We are begging you because we cannot do this alone. We have to come together as a community. Please come and join us on November 3rd at Breed Middle School in the cafeteria at 5 p.m. There will be an amazing presentation will be done by the Revolution Food. This will be a great opportunity to ask questions, hard questions, that for our leaders and for our vendors, we need to challenge them. We need our voice to be heard. So I want to thank you so much, everyone, for listening tonight, all the people at home, and everyone has helped with this mission. Whether, we appreciate anything that you can offer to us, whether it's small or large, and we have some amazing leaders who reach out to us and, offer their opinions and their thoughts on this issue. So we thank you so much. We have to come together as a community and fix this. Our children deserve better. We have to pave the way for our children's future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next signed up is Kat Murphy. Welcome. Welcome.
My name's Kat Murphy. Not as savvy as Sophia, but hi, everyone. Most of you know me, a lot of people know me as Murph Nation on Facebook. I'm here to speak in regards to some bullying issues going on in your school. I've always taught my kids they had an issue to always go to an adult that they trust. So these kids came to me. So I'm here to speak for them. I've had a lot of issues in the school regarding my son with bullying. But my main issue is your admin's bullying.
As it relates to general discussions, if there's specific issues, we can definitely deal with those separately from the public meeting, but this meeting is for open mic to allow a discussion and a broader discussion related to issues that are related to school-related issues. In terms of going into specifics and that's not part of what is allowed during the open mic session. It doesn't mean it's not part of a discussion that can happen outside of the meeting.
You're developing in kids by doing this, correct? Do you know what you're developing mentality-wise in children by doing something to this when they have no adult to go to because their adult in school is not someone that they can trust? Would you like it if your children came home and told you something like this? Or if you have to hear this over a video, that an administration in your schools are treating children like this as bullying? Do you know what type of mentality you can develop in young children at 11 years old? Suicide, want me to go on? School shootings, bullying themselves.
Dr. Tutwiler?
It's Ms. Murphy?
Correct.
Okay. We've not had the opportunity to meet or talk about your concern, and it is a serious issue. Bullying is a serious issue. It's one that I personally take seriously. And, as the mayor said, this is not the space to talk about specific
Well, I've
incidents.
reached out plenty of
If I could
times
just
to
finish
people.
really quickly, I welcome you, and as soon as you're done, before we go into regular meeting, I'll give you my contact information. I welcome you to sit down with me to see if we can address this specific issue, but the open mic is really designed for broader sort of
have an
contact
ongoing
issues.
issue all over with bullying in school. I don't even know where I could start with that. You are not helping these children in school by the issues like, for instance, my son was held responsible for another student's actions. My son was recently suspended, and I was told I couldn't view a video. He was accused of hitting a student and just suspended.
This is the conversation that we could have.
Right. Again, I think getting into specifics, and I think Dr. Tutwiler has indicated an ability to speak with you right after the open mic meeting and address this directly on the specifics related to it. Again, the open mic session is not meant to get into specifics related to individuals. It doesn't mean that we're not wanting to address it. And I
Individual. This is your whole school
and
system.
I think it's important for you to have a discussion with Dr. Tutwiler. He's more than willing to sit down with you and go over all of your concerns, and he will give you his contact information and have that ability to discuss that with you directly. But not only related to a specific incident that you're talking about, but if there are other issues related to a broader range of bullying, I think that Dr.
Whole list.
Tutwiler will be more than happy to speak with you and address those issues directly.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the committee during the open mic session? With that, we'll close the open mic session, and we will go into full session in 5 minutes. On October, being held October 28th, 2021. I'll ask you all to join me in a salute to the flag. Thank you. No. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to take the roll call?
We'll begin with a roll call.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola,
Present.
Member Ford,
Present.
Member Gately,
Present.
Member Nicholson,
Present.
Member Satterwhite,
Present.
Mayor McGee.
Present.
Make a motion to accept the Committee of the Whole meeting on October 14th, 2021.
So, motion made to accept the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call required?
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola,
Yes.
Member Ford,
Yes.
Member Gately,
Yes.
Member Nicholson,
Yes.
Member Satterwhite,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the 15th regular meeting with executive session on October 14th, 2021.
Second.
There's a second. Roll call required, please.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola,
Yes.
Member Ford,
Yes.
Member Gately,
Yes.
Member Nicholson,
Yes.
Member Satterwhite,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Next on the agenda is elections, school nurse election. Dr. Tutwiler, or Member Satterwhite.
Thank you. Just to ask, again, last time under Kathy, she would give just a synopsis of the candidate and like the school the person went to, what experience she had, and that she recommended her to be appointed. And that was a good piece of information to have on the candidates, because otherwise we're just getting a name. So if we can get back to that process. Oh, hold on. It is there. Good. So she did it. Good. So, perfect.
I didn't know it was.
I happened to read through the packet.
I asked John and he said he didn't see it, so that's why, it's fine.
So,
Do you want to read that letter? that we have there?
sure.
That's what we normally do.
It's a letter dated October 15th from the Director of Nursing, Deb Tanzer. This letter is to recommend Amanda Donovan for a school nurse position for the Lynn Public Schools. Amanda is available to start on November 1st, 2021. Amanda obtained her Associate's of Science degree in nursing in January 2017 from Middlesex Community College. In May 2021, Amanda received her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Rivier University. She's currently working as a postpartum nurse at Beverly Hospital. Amanda has previous experience on medical surgical unit at Beverly Hospital and their affiliated organization, Addison Gilbert Hospital. She also has experience working on a rehabilitation unit at a Genesis at Hawthorne Hill. Prior to becoming a nurse, Amanda worked as a home health aide, providing one-to-one care for clients. She also worked as a nanny for 6 years, caring for young children. Amanda intends to start the DPH coursework required for the DESE licensure. She will also be scheduling communication and literacy MTEL. Successful completion of these requirements will allow her to obtain the initial license as a school nurse. After interviewing Amanda and speaking to her references, I'm confident that she'll become a valuable addition to the Lynn Public Schools. And with that, I recommend the election of Amanda Donovan as school nurse for the Lynn Public Schools.
Motion to approve Amanda Donovan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call required.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola,
Amanda Donovan.
Member Ford,
Amanda Donovan.
Member Gately,
Amanda Donovan.
Member Nicholson,
Amanda Donovan.
Member Satterwhite,
Amanda Donovan.
Mayor McGee.
Amanda Donovan.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Amanda.
Congratulations and welcome.
Yep, welcome, and I know there's, well needed and well deserved, so. Member Satterwhite.
I'm just going to ask Dr. Tutwiler, do you want to do the report first or go into?
That would be great.
Okay. Motion to move the superintendent's report from section 9 of the agenda to before new business.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, roll call, please.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola,
Yes.
Member Ford,
Yes.
Member Gately,
Yes.
Member Nicholson,
Yes.
Member Satterwhite,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Dr. Tutwiler?
Glad to. Just quickly, you have a copy of the superintendent's report in your folder. I would draw attention first to the last paragraph of the report, and I will just say briefly, it is my hope that we will schedule a special meeting on the 18th of November, and at that time, I'd like to do a presentation of MCAS and access data from last year. There are some cautionary notes in the report around what that data is and the comparison elements. But in any case, it is important data and data that we intend to respond to. So would like to do a deep dive with the school committee on that date. Going back to the top, in the previous superintendent's reports issued this school year, much of the commentary is focused on the efforts to stabilize through welcoming students back with in the warmest, most collaborative way, establishing and expanding safety protocols and solidifying instructional strategy. By themselves, each one of these efforts has come to fruition through a colossal effort. The work continues. At the same time, we're making significant strides on the Pickering project. As you know, the eligibility period, the descriptor the MSBA calls the first phase of the project, began in early May of last school year, and there are 8 deliverables that must happen before the end of that phase in late January. We've completed each of the deliverables ahead of schedule. We intend to perform the 2 remaining actions in advance of the MSBA board meeting on the 15th. We just had a meeting yesterday afternoon. That's a hope. You want to underscore hope because there's still some wrinkles that need to be ironed out. Over the past 3 years, there have been several efforts involving significant stakeholder input. In all of them, families and the broader community point to the need for new schools. Moving carefully yet expeditiously through the process is the purest form of respect for that input. And then finally, with the inclement weather that we had this week and the early weather predictions of the upcoming winter season, which I never believe in, but they call for a milder winter anyway. Snow days are on the minds of many. By way of reminder, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education does not allow districts to count remote learning hours toward the annual requirement for instructional hours at the elementary and secondary level. Therefore, at present, should a district pivot to remote learning for whatever reason, those instructional hours would not count toward the requirement. DESE's not communicated any official stance on allowing for school days to be that are convened virtually during inclement weather days. Nonetheless, we will be prepared. The 2 major actionables related to preparedness involve ensuring that all students have a device, and then, as we alluded to earlier, ensuring that there's Wi-Fi access in homes, and as I mentioned, a little more than 300 hotspots are out, and we work through the social workers to make sure that any student that has that need has it satisfied.
Member Satterwhite.
Thank you for the update. And I told you earlier today that I was grateful that you are allowing us to just show up to these schools to eat the food that's being prepared. And doing so obviously opens the door for us to see the inner workings of the schools that we're going into. And some people wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because you really lose a lack of control when we're in there. And so I respect that, and I told you that earlier today. And, what has happened over this past week, it really breaks my heart to see the ages of some of the buildings that we still utilize. And if anything, you know, I have 2 months left on the school committee. We need a new Pickering. It's vital. And when the families say that, and other stakeholders are also pointing to the fact that we need new schools, you can expect these in the museum, but not in an educational institute that's supposed to be preparing our students for the future. It's crazy. So I just wanted to put it out there that we need this Pickering, and we need multiple other schools after that. So thank you for allowing us to do that, and those that took part. I had lunch with Donna today at Cobbett, and I know Lorraine had lunch with Fred Hogan recently as well. And you know, seeing it it's sad. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and I was at classical too.
Member Gately? Well, I think, and just to
Oh,
follow,
one question.
yes, Member Gately?
So I guess that means remote snow days are off the table for now?
It doesn't. It just means that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has not given an official, yes, that will count, or no, it will not. You know, in the next, there's a paragraph, I think, right beneath it, or some sentences. You know, last year, some school districts, every school district had the ability to provide remote instruction. But some still chose to do, you know, a traditional snow day when it happened. You know, what that next pair of sentences talks about is mental health and stress. And that needs to be taken into consideration also with those decisions. So I don't know where DESE is going to come down, but I can tell you if it's our opinion that, you know, there's inclement weather and people need a break, then we're going to give them a break.
Okay.
There was one last year, I think. We had a snow day even though it was remote.
Correct. There was the threat of power outages and things of that nature, which also obviously matters. Might have been for a break too. Don't know.
Thank you.
A twofer.
Member Satterwhite?
Motion to go into executive session to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to the Lynn Teachers Union, Local 1037, and nurses, Local. Sorry. There were no votes taken in the curriculum, but you can say that. Sorry, I didn't see that one.
Mayor McGee,
Yes, Member Gately?
under new business, there's A,
Yes.
ratification of votes. If
Yes.
taken. There was no ratification of any votes taken.
Thank you, Member Gately.
You're welcome.
And I'll just repeat it.
Member-
Request to
Member
go into
Satterwhite.
executive session to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to the Lynn Teachers Union, Local 1037, and nurses, Local 3147-A. The discussion of these matters, which involves strategies in an open meeting, may have a detrimental effect on and compromise the bargaining positions of the public body.
Second.
The second, roll call, please.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola?
Yes.
Member Ford?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Nicholson?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Come on,
Member
motion
Member
to-
Satterwhite?
Motion to go into regular session?
Second.
There's a second, roll call, please.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola?
Yes.
Member Ford?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Nicholson?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor McGee?
Yes.
And, Mr. Mayor, there were no
Member
votes.
Satterwhite, yes.
There were no votes taken in the executive session where we discussed strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to the Lynn Teachers Union, Local 1037, and nurses, Local 3147-A.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Satterwhite. Any other business or entertain another motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, and there's a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos, absent. Member Capola?
Yes.
Member Ford?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Nicholson?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor McGee?
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.